Beyond the Gate spoilers reveal that Eva's prank on Kat goes far beyond her original intentions. What starts as a cruel joke, Eva flirts with Tomas just to spite Kat, quickly becomes a tangled web of emotions. Watch Eva descend into jealousy, lust, and conflicting loyalties, all intertwined with her toxic relationship with her mother, Leslie. From the first spark of flirtation to the moment Eva realizes she may have crossed a line she can't take back, this opening sequence charts her entire internal struggle, making her choices inevitable, painful, and compelling. Eva's initial motivation is clear: to provoke Kat. She believes that by seducing Tomas just a little, she can unnerve Kat, embarrass her in front of others, and prove herself superior. She teased him in passing, flirting with subtle gestures, shy laughs. Everything was carefully measured so as not to go too far. That was the setup. Her plan had only one goal: to make Kat angry. But almost immediately, the lines she drew began to blur. When Tomas laughed at one of her words, smiled, made eye contact, something in Eva sparked. A warmth she hadn't expected. At first, she dismissed it, chalking it up to nervousness, power. But after days of looking at each other, small talk, the nervousness transformed. It became a magnet. She found herself longing for his presence, remembering the sound of his voice, craving the feeling of his attention, little realizations that Eva denied even to herself. That denial fell apart when she caught herself feeling protective of Tomas in small moments and jealous when Kat was near him. She realized that what started as a joke had grown into an emotional investment. That revelation hit with such force Eva momentarily recoiled from herself. She saw the shape-shifting curve of her own plan, how quickly influence became fixation. The film teases this inner shift, showing Eva's playful pranks evolving into pangs of yearning. And all the while, Eva's thinking, Kat is so lucky. Kat gets to laugh with him, lean close. Eva envies that closeness fiercely. Each time Tomas smiles at Kat, Eva's internal tempest swells. Meanwhile, there's Leslie, Eva's mother, whose presence looms in every scene as a dark reflection of what Eva fears to become. Leslie's cruelty, her need to shame others, stays like a shadow stitched into Eva's life. Eva wants another path. She wants intimacy with Kat, friendship, trust, but Leslie's voice haunts. Whenever Eva hesitates, Leslie sneers. Whenever Eva tries tenderness, Leslie mocks. That constant counterforce warps Eva. It pulls her away from her best impulses, draws her towards sabotage even of her own desires. What's tragic is that Eva does want closeness, to Kat, to Tomas, even with Leslie. She craves family she can respect, companionship she doesn't have to hide, a self she can accept. But Leslie derails that. When Leslie humiliates Eva, calling her worthless in front of others, broadcasting her insecurities, Eva tries to quash it. She tells her mother to stop. She begs silence before drama spreads. She pleads, tries to fix it. But Leslie's toxicity is entrenched. Her behavior isn't just habitual, it's core. No amount of Eva's reasoning shakes her. So Eva does the only thing she knows, tries to override Leslie's influence through action. She distances herself, yet her own bitterness seeps into everything she does. Eva's forgiving heart becomes both a blessing and a curse. She talks to Leslie, offers advice: change your ways, so we don't keep living in mockery. She warns of social ruin, being a spectacle. She hopes her mother could see evolve. But Leslie gaslights. She sneers at Eva's attempts at compassion. She undermines her, mocking Eva's idealism and accuses Eva of naivety, weakness. Their exchanges intensify, Eva pleading for kindness, Leslie delivering cutting cynicism. Yet despite the wounds, Eva forgives. She can't help it. Leslie is her mother. She's tied to her by blood and history. So Eva accepts what shouldn't be acceptable, that her mother is toxic and she can't fix her. That knowledge erodes Eva bit by bit, leaving wounds she won't admit yet. Parallel to that, Eva's growing connection to Tomas accelerates. She starts orchestrating small coincidences, passing him at the coffee stand, lingering with him in class, striking up conversations. Each moment is charged with risk. Eva justifies it as part of the prank, but in her mind she's chasing something more. His attention, his affections. When Tomas responds casual interest, genuine curiosity, Eva's world tilts. She starts seeing Kat and Tomas not as couple but as a challenge. And Kat's reaction solidifies something darker inside Eva. Kat refuses to tolerate humiliation or betrayal. She's sharp, proud, protective of what's hers. Kat confronts Eva. Your actions are cowardly, shallow, trashy like your mother. That comment slices Eva deeper than any embrace Tomas gave. It echoes Leslie's insult, resurrecting all the shame she's begged Leslie to stop inflicting on her. At that moment, Eva realizes she's not only hurt Kat, but also hurt herself by becoming the mirror of her mother's worst traits. Eva's guilt spirals. She tries to pull the prank back, apologize to Tomas, clarify it was a joke. But Tomas senses the ambiguity. He's not blind to the change in Eva's touch, her intensity, her disappointment when Kat is around. He's curious, drawn but cautious. He asks subtle questions. Why are you flirting so much with me, Eva? What do you want? And Eva freezes, unable to fully tell the truth. Because the truth is unpredictable, uncontrollable. She doesn't just want to mess with Kat anymore. She wants him. And that honesty terrifies her. It could destroy friendship, embeds irreparable tension. She's torn between confession and concealment. Meanwhile, rumors begin. In social spaces, whispers circulate. Eva and Tomas? Did you see them last night? Eva hates the rumors, not because they're about her but because they paint her as Leslie-like, someone who seeks attention through scandal. Eva hates the narrative she sees unfolding on Evelyn's Instagram post, rumor threads in group chats. She can't trust Mother, can't trust Kat. She's not even sure she trusts Tomas. She's adrift. She tries confiding in a friend, someone outside the triangle, but the friend warns, Eva, step back before you ruin everything. But Eva is too far in. She's woven her identity into this surrender of desire and vengeance. By the midpoint of this arc, Eva oscillates. Some nights she sleeps and wakes obsessively replaying Tomas's laugh. In class she sees Kat lean in and stiffens. She wants to confess, but fears rupture. She wants Leslie to change, but knows she won't. She wants Kat's forgiveness, but knows Kat might never forgive. And the prank, the thing that started it all, is no end. It has become Eva's identity crisis, her emotional battleground. She's no longer sure who she is, prankster, lover, friend, or villain. The narrative teases at the irreversible moment to come when Eva's emotional escalation crosses a line, the point of no return. Everything set so far builds that tension, the flirtatious spark turned flame, the toxic mother's ongoing sabotage, the casual relationship between friends turned triangle, the shameful jealousy, the guilt that seems to seep into every gesture. The opening chapters show Eva juggling these forces and slipping beneath them. Just as the tension peaks, the story pauses, leaving Eva at a crossroads. She might confess, or she might implode. The setup leaves her trembling, one step forward and everything breaks. That's where part 1 ends, at that fragile moment when Eva stands on the edge. Her prank has gone too far, and everything is about to change. Everything came undone the night Eva crossed a boundary she couldn't uncross. The room had gone quiet, lit by a dim lamp, and Tomas had looked at her not with confusion, but with understanding. That understanding hurt more than any rejection could have. He knew. He saw right through the game, through the pretense, and what remained was something real, raw, and irreversible. And yet he didn't stop her. When Eva leaned in, desperate to silence everything inside her, he responded. That night changed everything. Kat found out quickly. Not because Eva confessed, but because Tomas did. Guilt, or perhaps conscience, made him come clean. Kat's rage wasn't loud, it was ice cold. The kind of betrayal that doesn't scream, but bleeds beneath the surface. She didn't confront Eva in public. She didn't make a scene. But she looked at Eva with a silence more devastating than any insult. That silence shattered Eva. Kat's words came later, in private. You're just like her. It was the echo of the wound Eva feared most. She knew exactly who Kat meant. That single line collapsed every illusion Eva had tried to maintain that she was different, better, forgivable. In that moment, Eva realized she'd lost not just Kat, but her own reflection. She couldn't tell where Leslie ended and she began. Leslie, for her part, seemed almost satisfied. Not outwardly proud, but quietly smug. She made comments like, "So much drama for one boy," but Eva saw the glint in her eyes. It was as if Leslie had been waiting for Eva to finally prove that kindness, morality, restraint were all masks people wore before becoming exactly like her. The disappointment in Eva's face when she looked at her mother wasn't new. But now it was edged with fear. Fear that she'd inherited more than just blood. Eva tried to apologize. To Kat. To Tomas. But there was nothing to say that didn't sound hollow. Tomas didn't reply to her texts. He avoided her gaze. Not with anger, but with distance. Kat blocked her on everything. Mutual friends started pulling away. It was like a switch had flipped, and Eva was suddenly unrecognizable to everyone who once smiled at her. That's when she did something she hadn't done in a long time. She turned to Leslie for comfort. Not because she trusted her. Not because she wanted her. But because there was no one else left. Leslie, to her credit, didn't gloat. She listened. In her own twisted way, she showed up. They sat in the kitchen at midnight, drinking tea in silence. And Leslie said, "It hurts because it mattered." It was the first time Eva saw a crack in her mother's armor. A glimpse of someone who once cared too deeply and buried it beneath cruelty. Leslie didn't apologize. She didn't offer advice. But that night changed something between them. Not repair. Not forgiveness. But awareness. Still, Eva couldn't stay in the wreckage. She had to move. Had to act. The shame of what she did with Tomas wasn't just about Kat, it was about who she had let herself become. She enrolled in extra courses. She volunteered for a local campaign. She threw herself into anything that made her feel outside herself. But distraction wasn't healing. It was only hiding. Meanwhile, Leslie spiraled. With Eva emotionally absent, her mother became more erratic. She picked fights with neighbors. She caused a scene at the grocery store. Rumors spread. Eva got calls from school counselors, asking if everything at home was stable. She lied. Said everything was fine. But the truth was, she didn't know how to help Leslie anymore. One night, Eva confronted her. "You need help. Real help. Not my pity." Leslie laughed. "So you're better than me now?" But Eva didn't flinch. "No. I'm just trying not to drown in the same waters." Leslie didn't respond. But something shifted. She started therapy a week later. Quietly. Without announcement. Eva only found out through a receipt left on the counter. Despite the cracks beginning to show in her mother's defenses, Eva's own guilt remained unresolved. She wrote Kat a letter, not a message, not a note, but pages. She didn't send it. She couldn't. But writing it made her confront the layers of what she'd done. The betrayal wasn't just the act. It was the intention behind it. The impulse to wound, to possess, to win. Tomas returned one afternoon, weeks after silence. They met by accident outside a bookstore. He looked different. Older. Maybe just tired. He asked if she was okay. She said she wasn't sure. They talked. Not like friends, not like strangers. Like two people who had once almost been something and knew better now. He said he missed the version of her who laughed at his jokes without wanting anything. She said she missed that version of herself too. The conversation didn't end in reconciliation. But it didn't end in resentment either. It was honest. Eva left with a strange sense of peace, painful, yes, but clean. Kat never responded to the letter. Eva didn't expect her to. But she did start seeing Kat in the halls again. Kat no longer looked away. She didn't smile. But she didn't hate. And that, Eva thought, was something. Leslie's transformation was slow. And uneven. She relapsed into cruelty often. But there were whole days when she didn't insult anyone. When she cooked dinner. When she asked Eva how her day went, and actually listened. The change wasn't a miracle. But it was movement. Eva didn't seek redemption anymore. She stopped trying to rewrite what happened. She accepted it. Let it settle. The past wouldn't vanish. But neither would her desire to do better. She met someone new in her campaign work, a girl named Marin. Nothing like Tomas. Marin was blunt, kind, unapologetically strange. They became friends slowly, then more. Eva didn't tell many people. She didn't need to. It wasn't a secret. It was just hers. What mattered wasn't whether people forgave her. It was whether she learned to forgive herself. Whether she could live with her mistakes without letting them define her. Whether she could look in the mirror and see herself, not Leslie, not the girl who tried to steal someone else's love, but herself, in all her contradictions. Eva still had nightmares sometimes. Of Kat's silence. Of her mother's screams. Of Tomas walking away. But she also dreamed of other things, of peace, of a quiet kitchen, of a life that didn't feel like a performance. The gate she crossed hadn't just led her into chaos. It forced her to see the truth about everyone, about herself. There was no going back. But maybe, just maybe, there was a way forward. Months passed and seasons shifted, but Eva still carried the weight of everything that had unraveled. The campus grew colder, winter settling in, and with it came a sense of clarity. Time had dulled the sting, but not the memory. What remained now wasn't guilt, it was consequence. And Eva finally understood the difference. Kat was thriving, visibly and unapologetically. She had joined a new club, posted more often, surrounded herself with new faces who didn't know the drama that had imploded her previous friendship. But she didn't erase the past either. Once, in a panel discussion, Kat talked about betrayal, not naming names, but everyone in the room knew who she meant. Eva listened from the back row, her throat tight, not with shame, but with recognition. Kat's words weren't bitter, they were strong, clear, self-possessed. Eva respected her more in that moment than she ever had before. Tomas had transferred out by spring. His departure was quiet. No party, no farewells. Just a shift in the social air. He messaged Eva before he left, "Take care of yourself." Nothing more. But it was enough. He'd been a lesson, not a destination. And now he was gone. Leslie was still in therapy. Progress was slow, unpredictable, but tangible. She no longer lashed out as much. Her voice had softened. She started painting nothing impressive, just oils on canvas. Abstract shapes. Eva never asked what they meant, but one night, Leslie admitted, "I don't know who I am when I'm not angry." It was the closest she'd come to vulnerability, and Eva took it as a win. As for Eva, she finally sent the letter she had written to Kat. She didn't expect a response, and none came. But she saw Kat walking across campus one morning wearing the bracelet Eva had given her years ago. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe it wasn't. But it felt like a signal, not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but acknowledgement. Marin remained her steady light. They didn't rush anything. No declarations, no public claims. Just shared time, real laughter, and conversations that didn't revolve around broken trust. With Marin, Eva didn't have to prove she was different. She simply was. In the final week before graduation, Eva stood alone at the edge of the campus gate, the one everyone passed through without thinking. She used to fear crossing lines, then she feared never crossing them again. Now, she simply saw it as a place between choices. The gate wasn't a symbol anymore. It was just a gate. Her story didn't wrap in a bow. There was no grand redemption, no perfect closure. The damage she caused still existed. So did the pain. But there was also resilience. Growth. A slow rebuild of self, brick by fragile brick. Eva walked forward. No fanfare. No applause. Just the quiet knowledge that she was no longer running from who she was or who she might become.